Welcome to another episode of Life and Times with Tubbcity. This one is different and special, and I thought it would never happen. I got a special guest, the man that brought me into this world. I have my father, Thaddeus Brown Sr., and this is like humbling and like exciting at the same time because this conversation that we're about to have, a lot of this stuff I don't even know. So whenever you watch this, the public, like the information that y'all finding out is probably some of the information that I'm finding out because he's just a stoic, man's man, respectable man. And I'm just very interested on, the feedback that we're about to get. I want to say thanks for coming on. I appreciate it.
Well, you're welcome, and I'm excited to be here talking with you.
Yeah. So, on Life and Times of Tubbcity, the first question is always to my friends, family, and stuff. What was your first interaction with me? So, my question is like, I guess when I was born, what was your first feelings and like what was the first thing you could remember when I was born?
The first thing I can remember was one evening I was in the Air Force at Barksdale, and I got a call from my mama on the job. And when you get a call like that, it's kind of scary because I'm thinking my grandmother was sick at the time I went in the Air Force. Mm-hmm. And I thought that was the call that said that she was gone. But she called me, she said, Thaddeus, and I held my breath, and then she said, you got a son. And that was one of the most exciting days of my life.
Real? So you didn't know? Y'all didn't?
Well, your mama was pregnant, but I had no idea that she was that close to having you.
Okay. So you was stationed?
I was stationed in the Air Force at Barksdale, and you and your mother and your brother, y'all was still living in New Orleans.
Okay, all right. Let's go back. Where were you born?
I was born in New Orleans, Louisiana, in the 6th Ward, which they consider Trimmy. The area is considered Trimmy around the Municipal Auditorium area.
Okay, and you're born in New Orleans and you have siblings.
Yeah, we born in New Orleans. I had 4 siblings. I have 3 other brothers, a sister, and at the time, my mom and my grandmother was living.
And grandma, she lived in the same house she was born in?
My mama lived in the same house she was born in. Okay. And my grandmother, I say about a half of that time she lived in the same house also. It was 7 of us in the same house.
In how many bedrooms?
Well, the way those houses were made in New Orleans, you consider it had 3 rooms, but you want to consider it had 2 bedrooms, but the first room is considered a living room, so technically you really had 1 room. But the way we were set up, there was a house in the back of our house. It had 2 more rooms. Mm-hmm. And at the time, you would walk out the kitchen, where was the last room.
Yeah.
And you could go about 10 feet, open another door, and go in 2 more rooms.
So the bathroom behind the kitchen.
The bathroom was behind the kitchen.
Yeah, and there's another room back there.
No, that
wasn't back there.
Before you came on the scene, there was no door behind the bathroom. That was a wall. You went from the kitchen to the bathroom, and on the right side there was a door in the kitchen where you went out to what we call the front yard. And when you go in the front yard, you take a couple steps, open the door, and go in the back house.
Which is really the back door.
The what?
You said that's the front yard, but it was really the back.
No, The reason we call it the front yard because the house that was behind us had another yard in the back of that yard, and that was called the backyard.
Okay. So it's 7.
Technically, we had one of the best setups going.
Really?
Yes. It was hard when we were coming up because I remember what we did. My mom had the first room, and
Which is now the living room.
It was now the living room.
Okay.
But my mom had the first room. The second room was for my grandmother. But at night, they opened a cot, and 3 of us slept in the cot.
In a cot.
Yes. It was fold-out cots in them days.
Uh-huh.
And my oldest brother, Russell, he had a bedroom in the back house. That's how we lived. And as time went on, you were hoping somebody move out. And finally...
Y'all was bidding for that back room?
Yeah, that was the deal. So finally, my brother Joe was the first one to move out.
Okay.
But my mom still didn't let me and my little brother go in the back yet. So finally, something happened where she decided to let us go in the back house. So it was me and my brother had our room in the first room of the back house, and my older brother had the second room in the back house.
Okay.
That freed up. My grandmother had her own room, and my mama had her own room.
Okay. What was your father's situation? Hold on. What was his name?
My father's name was Christopher Brown.
Oh, okay.
I knew of my father, but there was no time when my father ever raised me or took me anywhere. I grew up without a father. So. But I knew of him, and a couple of times I saw him walking the street. But other than that, there was no relationship with my father, no.
When you say a couple of times, like, you talking 2, 3, 5, 10, 20?
What times I'm seeing him?
Yeah.
I saw him a couple of times walking the street, and I go holler at him, have small talk, and walk away. Something from what I gathered, something happened to him mentally, as my mom said, and they split up, and he just was on hard times the rest of his life.
So why the skip of the name?
Why the skip of the name?
Yeah.
I have no idea. No. My mom named me Thaddeus, and his name was Christopher Brown, but he didn't have a middle initial. And my mama named my brother Christopher A. Brown. But why I wasn't a junior, I have no idea.
How you're 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. When did you? Was it a time when it was like, dang, I wish I had a dad? Or when was it? Did you ever like miss him?
Most of my partners had fathers. Like the Kendricks had fathers, the Coleman had fathers, guys we bum with had dads, the Kings had dads, and it was kind of discouraging. And my problem was I was a thinker, and I noticed that something was missing in my life. And then there was times when I questioned my mama as a kid and got slapped in the mouth and never did it again. So.
For asking a question?
My mama was a very secretive. She was very secretive.
Okay.
So that's pretty much how the life we lived.
So growing up without a father, did you feel like you missed out or it hurt you in a way?
Yeah, growing up without a father, I really think I missed a lot because I watched the guys that had fathers. I used to see the things that their fathers was doing with them that we couldn't do. Mm-hmm. And I could see the pride on their faces at times when they were with their daddy and we didn't have a daddy. And I felt kind of bad. I felt it, yes.
And did that hamper you sports-wise?
I think it did because as far as sports, I had to learn sports on my own, watch other guys, and just pick up what I knew off the street or in the ballpark. But as far as someone actually taking the time with me from a young age, I didn't have that opportunity. And I think if I would have had a forward in my life with my skills, I really would have won places.
You was that good?
I was good. I'm 67 years old and remember how good I was.
Get it from somewhere. I know the dynamic of, Uncle Russell, Uncle Gerald as being your older brothers. Did you figure it out through them? I'm speaking of like how to be a man, how to be respectable, how to have morals and principles. Did you learn that from them, or is this something you picked up on the fly?
No, when I was growing up, we had, I lived in a tough neighborhood. And guys would jack you, take your money, call you names out your name. You just had to take that. I didn't have adult brothers, whereas if somebody messed with me, I could say, man, you shouldn't do this. I'm going to go get my big brother. I didn't have the type of brothers that would go and check this guy or take up for me or my little brother, because there wasn't those type of guys. Mm-hmm. So I made up in my mind that the only way I'm going to get respect is I'm going to have to start fighting back for myself. So I decided to start lifting weights, start shadow boxing, and there was a lot of bullies. I can remember one bully in particular. His name was Alvin Jackson. They used to call him Dog.
Call him what?
Dog.
Dog.
Dog. He was just a dog. I mean, that was his nickname. And everybody was afraid of him, and you didn't want to get in a fight with him because he would whip your butt. And especially, I love basketball too, but most guys didn't want to play because you couldn't play the way you wanted to because you bumped Dog. He gonna call your name and want to fight with you. So that he was a bully. So one day I was just sitting on a step, and I just made up my mind that I ain't taking no more mess from nobody no more. This is a true story. My brother was a janitor at the elementary school across the street. And I always was inventive because I used to get punished a lot. So I always was by myself. I had a lot of time to think because I always was punished. I always did something wrong and got punished for it because I got in a lot of trouble as a young man, really. Elementary school, I done caused a lot of people hurt physically as a young kid. And I was always punished for doing wrong things. But one day I decided I'm just ain't gonna take no mess of these guys no more. So I asked my brother, could he bring me home some empty pecans? Back in the day, the school had the vegetables came in big old 5-gallon cans. Mm-hmm. And he brought me, I said, I need 2 pecans. And he brought me 2 pecans home. Empty.
Talking about like can of peas.
Can of peas.
Gotcha.
The 5 things.
Oh, the big, okay.
Big ones.
Yeah.
So at that time, I ain't had no job, but I did me a couple little odd hustles, got me a couple $, bought me a bag of cement. And I mixed that cement up, poured it in a pecan, and I put me a pipe in it. I went about 2-3 days, let that harden, and I turned that over and put that pipe with the other pecan cement in the other one and let that lay it in the corner so it could harden. And about 4 days later, I had me some weights. See, they had no money for no weights and exercise equipment when I was coming up. We didn't have that. We couldn't afford those kind of things. But like I said, I had a lot of time to think. I could draw and I invent stuff. So I made me some weights. And for 30 days, I lifted weights and shadow boxed in my yard, stayed inside. And I said, I ain't taking no more shit. And there was a guy named Malcolm. I said, we're going to get Alvin today. He said, what you talking about? I said, let's go to 41. I said, you check Alvin. And when I tell you switch, and let me get on him. And I know he going to push me. And
You talking about in the basketball game?
Basketball game.
Okay.
We're talking about the bullet dog.
So you tell him you going to start with him, but then I'm going to switch it up.
The way I figured it, most people start at the bottom and go the way up. Like if you're a championship boxer, you're going to start with this one, then you're going to go up a class. You're gonna go up. See, I ain't had no time for all that. I wanted a dog who beats everybody up.
Uh-huh.
And this is a true story. And Maine Malcolm playing, and he checked on Alvin. I said, switch. I got on him. Alvin elbowed me like he usually do people. And I told him, don't do that no more. He said, what? Who you talking to? I said, you, don't do that no more. He said, you want to do something? I said, yeah. And I whipped his ass so bad, it took about 1 hour for a whole training knew T. Brown put a whipping on Alvin Jackson's ass. And I never had no more trouble in my life.
How old was this?
I figure I was around 17, 18 years old.
Bruh.
And that was it. And nobody messed with me, my brothers, nobody. I was the big man taking care of my brothers because I could fight.
Uh-huh.
And that's a true story. Alvin Jackson, he will whip your butt. And you didn't mess with him, and you see him, you cross the street because he gonna pick with you, and you know he gonna start a fight with you, and he gonna whip your butt.
So what was like elementary school? Like, what was that like?
Elementary school was, for me, I wasn't no A and B student, but what got me over, I could draw, and that helped me bring my grades up at the end of the day. I had that A plus with all them D's, and it fared out to give me enough school to pass.
So then you go to junior high, you go to high school.
I
What
went
is
to
your
junior high. That was okay. I wasn't interested in organized sports at the time. Most of my sports were we played CYO ball, played football in the street, played flag, and but for street ball in the church, we played a lot of ball in the church or football, and that's where at that time we had gangs. We had the St. Philip gang. We were the St. Philip gang. Then you had the Dumaine gang, and then you had the Selmore gang. So you meet at the church, y'all, and we play football.
Uh-huh.
That's how we learned how to play football. And I was so fast. I was like O.J. Simpson. That's how bad I was. Yeah. So, and leading up to the 9th grade, I was about to go in 9th grade. And one day we played a game in the street. And I was running the ball, and all of a sudden something hit me. And I felt a pop in my leg. And a lot of people was watching the game. I thought somebody threw a rock at me, right?
Mm-hmm.
And after that night, I went home the next morning, woke up, I barely could walk, couldn't run no more. And we didn't know anything about pulling a muscle or nothing in them days. So I tried out for the 9th grade football team. I made the team, but I was a bench warmer because I couldn't run. I had to drag that leg, but my heart was in it. But after that was over, went to 10th grade, I didn't play, and I started exercising and got my leg back. I had pulled something, which I didn't know. Like I said, we didn't go to no doctors in them days and all that. You just put an ace band and some Bengay and go about your business. But during the summer, after my 10th grade year, I started lifting weights, got developed. I went to high school, and I made the football team as a tight end and wide receiver, and I started, and I was on my way. But At that time, it was amazing because it was 4 of us from the neighborhood that all made the team. And we were so proud. If you play a game on a Sunday, you could bring your helmet home on a Friday. So we felt like shit. We coming down the street, all 4 got our Clark Bulldog helmet in our hand, and that was some exciting time. But far as the most embarrassing time of my life, in my whole life to this day, we was playing a football game one Sunday, and my other 3 partners, every morning we'll meet on the corner and we walk to school together because we had to go across Claiborne to go to school. So we all the 4 of us meet, we go to school, go to football practice, come home. One Sunday we had a football game, and game was over, we lost. So that Monday morning, we're going to meet on the corner, go to school. But that morning, they was looking at a newspaper. I said, what they doing? So I walked up to them. They put the newspaper on the step. Look at this, T. I say, what? And had a big old picture of me. Said, oops, Clark offense flourish. And that oops, I was done.
Because they had you.
My picture dropping the football. I was so distraught. I went to the coach. I wanted to quit the team. I wanted to call Time Picayune, ask the guy why he put my picture in the paper with that on. And the coach talked me out of quitting. But what was so bad about it, you can't explain things to people.
Yeah. The
guy, quarterback, called a play, and that wasn't my play. That play was designed for me to take somebody away.
Yeah.
And what he did, he threw the ball to me. But when I didn't even see the ball. But when the Time Picayune took the picture, it made it look like I dropped the pass. And they had, oops, Thaddeus Brown, Clark offense flutters. I said, oh, man, I was distraught.
They put you out there bad.
I was due. So I talked to the coach. I said, I'm quitting, man. I don't appreciate what they did me. And he talked me out of it. But that next game, it was 2 seconds left at halftime. And I scored a 27-yard touchdown. I was back in the game again. I was back in stride.
Oh, man.
But
that's dope.
That was that. And I played my senior year, and I quit. That's because I didn't know what I was doing, didn't have no guidance. Just quit.
So grandma was like, y'all was on your own or what?
The way we live, and it's sad, but that's the way we live. My mom wasn't interested in nothing we do. It wasn't your mom went to your football game. My mom never been to a football game, basketball. She never saw me play sports in her life. Well, if her and her girlfriends were sitting on the steps, they saw us play street football.
Yeah.
But as far as a stadium or a gym, my mama had no clue. And that's what I was telling you. We didn't have that father figure or the mama in our lives. You did what you saw, and that was it. It wasn't no guidance. I want you to do well. Don't quit. Don't give up. None of that inspiration that a father would give us son. I didn't have none of that.
So you said you used to get in trouble or you got physical and like used to fight and stuff when you were a kid. When was the mental switch to like, was there a mental switch like I'm gonna do something? I'm not gonna say you was a troublemaker, but I'm gonna not get in trouble, or I'm gonna not. Was there something that happened that made you be like, all right, I'm gonna do something different?
Well, yes. What had happened was, when we grew up, we could bum at the church. Like you couldn't do that these days. We're at a Catholic church, St. Augustine Church, and it was strange how the head pastor of the church, we could hang out actually in the church house, actually hang out in there.
Like a safe place to go.
Yes. And this priest, he saw I was a troubled kid, and he started letting me hang out at the church and participate. He made me join the little sports program. We were NYS, the football program, flags football, and he stuck with me. And he took me places, and then he was like a father figure to me. This priest, and he taught me how to drive, and he bought my first driver's license, and he just changed my life. And I found out that the street thing wasn't the way to go. Most of my partners, there's very few of my partners which I would consider successful in life. They either went to Angola or they got strung out on drugs, because there was a lot of kids that grew up in my time didn't have no father figure. You had to figure that out for yourself. And there was another guy I admired. He passed away, but there was another guy named Christopher Robichaud. I used to see this guy, and he worked for the post office, and that's what I wanted to be, a postman.
That was it?
That was it. So I'm gonna be a postman, and I graduated from high school. I took the post office test. I didn't pass it, so I decided I'm gonna go to college. So I went to Dillard University, but I took up commercial art. I really was good at that, but then I started getting discouraged because I ain't like what the instructor was doing to me. That's a long story. When he would check my paper, when he would check other guys' paper, he would put a piece of wax paper over their paper, and he would make the correction on the wax paper.
So it don't mess up their art.
But he would make corrections on me, he'll mark on my paper. I said, what is going on? I said, well, he made a mistake that day.
Yeah.
So a couple weeks later, I drew another picture. No wax paper. And I asked him about it, and he went off, blah, 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 and I just said, man, this ain't gonna work. And I went off on him, and I said, this ain't gonna work for me. So quit the Delgado College, found me a little job. I think I was working at D.H. Homes, doing housekeeping. Then I quit that. Then I went to A&P, working in a little printing department. Then I quit that, and I had me a little house because at my age, we were getting my daddy's Social Security, me and my brother. So rent then wasn't nothing but $100 a month.
Oh, for real?
So I had a nice little house apartment about down the street from Dillard's. So I quit that job, and then I read the paper, and there was another ad said office clerk, blah, blah, blah. So I put in the application, and I got a phone call. Say, we interested in interviewing you for this office clerk job. So I said, okay, you give me the time and all that, and I said, well, where I gotta meet you at? He said, no, this don't work like this. We gotta come to your house to interview you. So I give him my address and everything, and the guy pull up, and it would just so happen, too, he liked it art. And I had an easel up, about to start me another picture, because I drew a lot. So that really turned him on to me, that I was in the art. And he sat down in my little house, and we talked and all that. And he told me he'll get back with me. And the next day, he called me and told me I got the job.
Yeah.
Office clerk. It was an office clerk for C.F. Bean Dredging Company. It was on the 37th floor of One Shell Square. And it was a nice little job. I ran little errands. I sorted the mail. And that was the big thing. Sort the mail. I had to bring a payroll to the airport once a week. And once a week, I might have to drive the head man to the airport. And what I found out later on was that the reason the interview was at my home, it was because they wanted to see where I lived at. And I didn't understand that. I didn't understand in the beginning why he had to come to my house. But I found out later that maybe 3 times a month I had to bring the head man to the airport on a Friday.
Yeah.
And at that time, he had a Cadillac Seville. Brand new Cadillac Seville. Here I'm 21. But the deal is, from them coming to your house to interview, they wanted to see where that car gonna be parked on the weekend.
Oh, okay. Because you had to keep the car.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Didn't know that game.
Uh-huh.
So I dropped the big Charles Bean. I drop him off on the to the airport, and then here I go home. I got me a brand new Seville. You know, I took a couple rides. I'm gonna do that. I had to go back in the hood, front that off to the brothers, because I lived in Gentilly there. So that went on good for years, for about 2-3 years, and then the big man traded in the Seville for a Mercedes, big Mercedes. So drop him off on a Friday, got my Mercedes, go get dressed, you know, then I hit them streets, got that Mercedes. So things was going good with that job. I really enjoyed making decent money. It was nice. I liked to dress. You had to wear a tie, so that was cool. But all of a sudden, I had the job, and then that was I met your mom, and
How old are you?
maybe about 21.
Okay.
And the job was going good. And then all of a sudden, this dude started picking with me. I said, man, why this guy messing with me like that? I thought he was cool. And the job was, I knew the job and do my job, come to work clean just like they want on time. I said, why this guy picking with me? And it took me a while to find out. So I was living in Gentilly, high-class neighborhood. Black guy, big old houses, but I had my landlord lived next door in a big home, and she had a home next door. And the reason I got the home, because my brother worked at a school and knew all these school teachers.
Gotcha.
And one of the school teachers' sister recommended to the lady that this is Joe's brother, he's good, so I'm in a big high-class neighborhood. So when the guy came in to view me, he seen this car gonna be parked in a high-class neighborhood, so there ain't no problem. So time went on, he started picking with me. I said, what did this dude keep picking on me for? I'm doing my job. Then something hit me. I said, oh, I know what it is. See, me and my brothers had a clique with these school teachers. At the time, these school teachers had rent properties and all that. So my brother lived in this big old 2-story house.
Talking about Uncle Gerald.
Yeah.
The house.
It was in
the same house?
Yeah, but it was beautiful home. It was double 2-story. And my brother lived on one side. So
this the one that's around the corner, that was around the corner that burnt down?
Yes.
Okay.
But that house, that was the house of the neighborhood. It was 2 stories, and it was a double. So my brother told me, man, Thaddeus, you know this next door is empty now. Somebody move out. I said, what? So I say, could you go talk to Miss So-and-so? And he went talk to her, and she said, well, she needs to talk to you. So I went and talked to her, blah, 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 blah. And she promised me I'm going to take care of her house and all that. So I moved out the little house in Gentilly
That was a big house.
into the 2-story.
Yeah.
But the problem with the 2-story, it was in the middle of the hood.
Yeah. Yeah.
So what had happened was, I didn't tell them people I moved from Gentilly back to the hood. And he didn't like that Mercedes being in the hood. That's how I figured it out.
Yeah.
I said, okay, this what's going on. He done saw that, he know that car in the hood now.
Mm-hmm.
So I kept working, and I said, this dude gonna try to fire me. So I said, I know what I'm gonna do. So I went to take the Air Force test, passed it, gave him a notice, and quit, and went to the Air Force. Because he was gonna fire me. Not only that he was gonna fire me, after you were born and your brother, in my heart, I thought that y'all was gonna get an injustice being raised in New Orleans, especially in the 6th Ward. Mm-hmm. So that was another reason I decided to go try to join the Air Force. And I joined the Air Force, and that's when I moved y'all and your mama to Bossier City.
Did somebody influence you? Did you have a conversation, or was it just
Was the Air Force?
Yeah, like how did that, where'd that idea come from?
Well, there was one of the owners of the company, it was a dredging company, it was a large company. When I used to work, there was a guy named Candy I grew up with. Candy was a very smart guy. We went to high school together, and he graduated. But Candy was so smart, Candy went to Dillard University on a scholarship as an accounting. Mm-hmm. And what had happened was, I was a little office clerk, little over minimum wage job, but it was sufficing for me. But sometime during the week, Candy had got a job as an accounting in that building in One Shell Square.
Gotcha.
So on Candy lunch break, he would come visit me because we was partners.
Gotcha.
But Candy had 3-piece suit on and a tie, and my boss used to rib me. He said, "You see that? If you'd have went to college, you'd be wearing a 3-piece suit and a tie. You always was on me, was on me." And all that while, I knew I could do better. And then the guy that I was the postman, Chris, I said, "Chris, man, I took that post office test 2 times, man. I ain't passed it yet." He said, "T, what you need to do, you need to go in the service. And you guarantee you're going to get in a post office job." So I went and talked to the priest. I was going to go in the army. I took the army test and passed it. I was about to sign some papers, and for the Terry, the priest, he told me, "Don't do that." And he told me why. I gave him a different reason. So I went to take the Air Force test. And then I passed the Air Force test, and I went in the Air Force. Christopher Robichaud told me the best way to get in the post office was to do some time in the Air Force.
Why he told you Air Force and not the Army?
Because he went in the Air Force.
Oh, got you. Okay. So you first moved out at what age?
Moved out my house?
At your mama's house?
Yeah. I moved out at 18.
You graduate high school, you move out?
Yes. And what had happened, the only reason I moved out was my mama was trying to be too strict on me. And I was 18 years old, and then like I said, I had no guidance and a lot of arguments with the family members and stuff. And I just felt I needed to get out of here before I hurt somebody. That's how bad my temper was. Like I said, and I got a little job. And what I found out through the grapevine, that my mama was getting $250 a piece on me and my brother, Social Security. Mm-hmm. Some lady hit me on that. And I brought it to my mama's attention. And she got mad that I found that out. But she went to the Social Security office and changed the name, and I got the $250 a month from Social Security. I get that till I was 22 as long as I stayed in college. So I stayed in college to get that money plus a little part-time work. But when I got closer, when I was taking too much of that instructor mess at Dillard, so I said, if I quit this, I'm going to lose my little Social Security money. Mm-hmm. So that's why I quit, got the job, so I didn't need the Social Security money anymore.
Gotcha.
And so you had asked me, and then what?
Nah, I was just saying you moved out at 18.
I moved at 18 years
and
old.
then you had your own place.
Had my own place. Met your mom. Was in Gentilly. Moved in the hood.
And now it's you going to the Air Force.
Now I'm going to the Air Force.
And you meet my mom, and she has Barry. You how old? That's 2021?
21, 22.
So you've been raising kids that long?
That's right. And see, that's what I tell you. I didn't have a father, mm-hmm. and I knew the things that I was deprived of not having a father. Mm-hmm. And that's one of the reasons that I feel that you and your brother are so successful by having a father.
Yeah, no doubt.
You just don't know what it is to not have a father. You got to experience it. People could tell you, but until you haven't had one at a young age, you just don't know the feeling.
So, and I'm not taking nothing away from your siblings. My question is you said you felt we wouldn't get a fair shot.
Who is we?
Me and Barry. Like if we were raised in New Orleans, you said you felt we wouldn't get a fair shake at life or whatever.
Eventually, if y'all that lived in New Orleans, eventually that hood, that New Orleans situation would have affected y'all somewhere or another. I could have been as strict as I wanted to be on you guys. You would have gotten into some trouble or start associating with the wrong company. That atmosphere was just too bad for young black men.
And do you think,
me,
but where do you think that, because the rest of your family basically stayed there.
Yes.
So why was your mindset different is what I'm saying.
That's what I'm saying. That's why I don't get along with my siblings today. I was a thinker. I saw things they didn't see. They couldn't understand that. That's why we didn't get along. They thought I was too smart. I asked too many questions. I'm too inquisitive. Mm-hmm. And I knew there was a life better than this sixth world. There had to be something better than this. And I'm not going to live my life like this. I didn't want to be them. Mm-hmm. And I meant that.
So you say that, and that's kind of how I felt about Bossier. And I'm not saying Bossier was bad, but in my head, I was like, I feel like there's more, but I didn't know. You know, like I'm 13, 12, whatever, and I just felt like, I felt that, but what we had wasn't bad. I just felt like there was something like behind another door that I didn't see.
What had happened was, as far as Bossier is concerned, to me, Bossier was the best thing ever happened to you. Uh-huh. And you got a good glimpse of Bossier as a young kid as you went to 13. So when you go out to 13, 12, you start developing. And at your age, me and your mama splitting really destroyed you as a kid. Yeah. To me.
Yeah.
See, things was just about to take off for you at that age. There was things going behind the scene that you didn't know was going on. Just like I watched how you called people and had connections for your daughter. I had plans made out for you.
Mm-hmm.
That destroyed you, me and your mama splitting.
Mm-hmm.
But there were so many opportunities I had set up for you where you wasn't gonna have any problems.
Gotcha.
You didn't understand how good you were. You enjoyed when you just didn't understand the chords and the connections I had as far as the next level, what we were gonna do with you. You just didn't have no idea.
Mm-hmm.
You was money to me. I used to call it money. When I said I was money, I was money. Every time you score, I say money. You was money to me.
Yeah.
And I knew what I didn't have as
you had a plan.
Up, I had a plan. And I said, this is money.
Mm-hmm.
And I figured I'd get you to the point where you was gonna make the money. And then I figured he know I'm his dad. He gonna peel me off. You was money. I'm just telling you, money. That's what we used to call you, money. Because I knew I was getting paid. I didn't do it, but that's when my mama told me I got a son. I was happy, but I said money.
Yeah.
First toy you had was a football, because I knew it was money.
So, you go to the military.
Yeah.
You from the 6th Ward. Where are you stationed? What is that? Like, they ship you out. Where do you go? And what is that coming from a young black man in the 6th Ward to now you're in the military? Like,
To be in the military?
yeah, like what is your awakening? Like, once you get there, you enlist, you go. Like, what are you thinking? Like, once you
When I got there, I went there before I moved y'all up. I was there, and I actually went to the commander and asked him, could I get out? That wasn't for me.
How long?
And he told me to give it I was there maybe a month or so, and I went to the commander.
You was like,
this ain't me.
Because
the discipline was overwhelming for as how the rank structure was, and it had nothing to do with the bigger man. I'm talking about physically, or was it white or black? It was structured by rank and discipline, and I wasn't disciplined enough yet. And then
is that, looking back, is that a flaw of you, or is it just something you had to learn, like the process?
You had to make a decision. If this is the route I'm chosen to try to be successful, I got to get on the bandwagon.
Got you.
And then I look back on what's my options. Try to make it in this, or go back to the 6th Ward and try to do the same thing over and over. Mm-hmm. And I didn't see no going back to civilian life was going to help me any better. So I said, I'm going to stick this out.
Was it ever a racial thing for you?
The military, the Air Force was very racial, very racial. I experienced a lot of racism in the military, yes.
So was it basic training? You get basic training, then you get training.
Basic training, it was kicks now, but it wasn't kicks then. When I went to basic training, I wore glasses. But at the time, they used to call them reflectomatics. When they get dark, and when you hit the sun, they get dark. Uh-huh. And they were prescribed, so I wore. But when I was in basic training, I'm laughing now, but I ain't laughed then. Them TIs, training instructors, they were hard on black men from New Orleans. Don't ask me why, it was just a thing. Yeah. I didn't know that then. Because I had the glasses, go in the sun, they get dark. They'd pin me on the wall, say, Brown, you gonna get that goddamn dip out you walk before you leave here. And I just couldn't help it. You know? And they'd catch me. I'll be peeping, see if one of them looking.
Yeah.
And I walk somewhere and they grab me and they push you on the wall. Man, what I told you about the goddamn dip in your walk. And I just, and I'm trying my best to get it out. And then we'll march and I do my dip, they catch me again. And I caught hell. But at the end of the day, at graduation, you will find out the comes joke, which is like a guy say, I know it was hard on you, Brown. We were trying to see if you could be a TI. That's why we were so hard.
Really?
Yeah, but it was hard on me, hard.
So first question, how'd you pick your job?
That was the bad thing about the Air Force. I wanted to get in so bad, I went in and I accepted open maintenance. And open maintenance means if you make it through basic training, then there will, TI, when I went to, I'm lying, when I enlisted, I didn't know what to do. So I figured I had mechanical skills. So the guy named a couple of things and he said, open maintenance, and he named something, said fuel system. I said, okay, I'll take that. And I took that.
You ain't know what it was?
No, not a clue. Not zero. I just wanted to get in. So I went to basic training and passed basic training. Then in a basic training, you get your orders to tell you where you were going to go. And I got my orders and it told me this base in California, Mercedes in California. That's where I was going. Mm-hmm. And I said, wow, I don't want to go to no California. So we went to this kind of briefing and we discussed how you're going to get to your base. And at the time, there was a program called a swap program. Mm-hmm. That way, if you could find someone that had the same AFSC means the job fuel system, and there was a little white girl, and she was really crying. I said, "What's wrong?" "Oh, I got to go to Barksdale, Louisiana." I said, "What?" And I said, "You don't want to go?" She said, "I said, where you like to go?" She said, "California." I said, "What?" So I got together with her, took her to the personnel office, and we switched orders, and I went to Barksdale. That was the closest thing I could get to New Orleans.
You was just trying to get back to close to there.
Yeah.
That's hilarious.
Really, and that's how that happened.
So you go to Bossier first.
Go to Bossier City. Was at Barksdale Air Force Base for 4 years. I was an aircraft mechanic. I worked on B-52s at the time and C-135 tankers. And the good thing about that, I was the best at that job. I really was. Mm-hmm. And about 6 months prior to my 4 years, you got them. They want you to decide if you were gonna re-enlist, and they wanted me to re-enlist. So to convince me to re-enlist, they flew me and your mama to Nebraska. There's a place where they play with your head and play with your wife's head to try to guarantee you're gonna re-enlist. Uh-huh. So went to that for 2 days, flew it back, and they said, "Well, Brian, what you gonna do?" I said, "I just went for the ride, still getting out." So,
what was your plan if you got out?
Post office. I knew I was going to post office. Post office, that ain't going nowhere. I want to be a mailman.
So, are we still in Swan Lake Apartments, or are we on Elsa Jane?
No, we on Elsa Jane now.
At the first house?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then I just got out. I waited.
So you did get out?
I got out, but what I did, I joined the Air Force Reserves.
Okay, yeah.
So I stayed. So while I'm at my first training meeting at the Air Force Reserve, I saw these airplanes. It wasn't the B-52 or the 35 on the same base, and I didn't even know it was the A-10.
Yeah.
And I thought I asked a question, what's going on here? And my reserve unit, we were training on the A10s, but that was just once a month. So I did my little research and I found out that they were hiring civilians to work on the A10. So I said, okay, so I stayed in the reserves, and eventually it took me about 6 months, and I got a full-time job working on the A10, and the title of that job was considered an Air Reserve Technician, which you worked for the Air Force, but you was a civilian at the same time, and that worked out.
So you kind of like found the magic.
It was magic. You couldn't ask for nothing better.
Okay.
So that just set me up for life.
So during that time, you just, I'm gonna ride this out. I'm gonna just ride the Air Force out.
Want to save your HOA money on your home services while enjoying the benefits of living in a community? Pin Plus, the ultimate platform that brings neighbors together under one powerful concept: power in numbers. Communities can now negotiate group discounted pricing on essential home services, trash, pest control, pool maintenance, and so much more, all at unbeatable rates. Transform your home service experience today. Visit www.mypinplus.com today for more information.
All right.